is Jekart. I'm back with Game 5 from Brawler Bash 7. You may notice that this is not a picture of deployment. My camera had started to die a little bit, and I was running on fumes at this point mentally, so doesn't spell good things for my game when I'm having issues remembering to take pictures. But here it is. I'm playing against a guy, Chen, who is awesome, and he has a beautifully painted vampire count army. You may remember this board from Game 4. I'm on the exact same table. I think that I moved up like one place in the rankings after the win against Ken in Game 4. So if I win this game, I'll actually have won 5 out of 5. And I'm thinking, oh, well, I beat Ken. He was the next closest Orcs and Goblins player, so I just have to do well on this game. I have to get a bunch of points. And Chen is running a Ghoul Horde. He's got like 7 units of 5 Dire Wolves. He has so many drops. And then he has 2 Terrorgeists, 2 units of 5 Hex Wraiths, and 13 Black Knights with a level 2 Death Vampire, a level 1 Vampire, a level 4 Vamp Lord with the Blender build, and a White King BSB. I actually was a little concerned about the BSB, and then I realized that is just for Blood and Glory. All of his fortitude is in that unit, which is pretty much makes it the definition of a Death Star. So I deployed from left to right. I had my Savages in the hole where you see them. I have Pump Wagon, Immortals, Night Goblins, some Wolf Riders. I have Pump Wagon over on the other side. I have some Chariots. And then all my War Machines are back in the back, kind of within range of Grimgore at first, because Terrorgeist and whatnot. And really, my plan going into this game was to be super aggressive. I knew that the only thing I had to worry about was the Knights, and if I could, I needed to kill everything except for the Knights, and I needed to like shoot the Knights off essentially, or get them down and pick the Vampire Lord off, because everybody else is fine. I'm not gonna be able to kill that Blender Lord. Nothing in the Orcs and Goblin book kills a Blender Lord except for like a Doom Diver. So, and I think probably my biggest mistake when I rolled spells, I chose Here We Go over Foot. Now, I didn't take Foot because he has MR3 in the General's unit. He has a Scroll of Shielding. He has, most of his characters have Ward Saves. I mean, he's kitted to the nines, and I don't think that I'm going to actually be able to kill anybody with Foot. At worst, they have a 4 Ward Save. He's going to Scroll of Shielding 1. He's probably going to Dispel Scroll 1. But then they're going to be in combat. So I took Here We Go because I thought, well, if the Savages get in, they're going to have rerolls to do anything. So let me go ahead and do that. Surprisingly, I got first turn, and I moved up not super aggressively, but I moved up pretty well, and as you can see, I Hand of Gorked my Savages up, and I actually created a problem for us, which I'll get to in a couple pictures. But yeah, I'm up there. He's got some Dire Wolves over on the left that just aren't going to matter. They're going to like chase some Chariots around, over here, I'm just kind of hoping that I can use a Mangler and my Fanatics to threaten his Terrorgeists and keep his General's unit off of me long enough. But the Savages, since they didn't have anything to do, I figured I was just going to hand them up, and that's where they ended up. And it looks good right now, but it turns out not to be so great later. So this is just an overview of deployment. You can kind of see what happened. And I guess this is after his first turn, as he's vanguarded and moved everybody up. Not really sure what's going on. It doesn't look like I've killed that many people in his bus, maybe 3 or 4, but this is his turn. He's put some wounds on that Wolf Chariot by running through it. He's put a wound on my Shaman because I must have miscast and hit that Shaman to move my Savages all the way over there. And you can see he's playing it really safe. He was really worried about all of my armor piercing, strength 5, strength 6, no armor save stuff on the Pump Wagons. He was very cautious about it. Actually, yeah. And so I think he's killed one of my Mangler Squid. No, there they both are. I'm not sure why he didn't kill that Chariot. He must have rolled really crappily. And I think that his general's unit has Itchy Nuisance on it, and it's like -1 movement. I thought that spell was going to be really clutch when he's moving 9. He has the Banner of Swiftness on that unit. And I just rolled really crappily for it all game. So you can see what's happening. And this is actually the turn where what I said, something screwed up with the Savages. This is what I was talking about. But I think I have a better picture of it. Okay, I don't. I checked it out. I don't have a better picture. What happens is he moves the Dire Wolves up so that I can't charge the Ghouls. And I also can't charge the Dire Wolves because I can't close to them because of the Ghouls, and they can't close to me because of the Ghouls. Now, when that happened, you know, I was fine. I said, hey, look, that's fair, but I think this is one of those best play things that we're not supposed to do. Like, we're not supposed to actually make it impossible to do nothing except for reform, you know, because I can't charge, I can't move forward, I have to shuffle sideways or reform. I think this is in the same, you know, I was like, I think this is one of those things they cover in the, hey, don't do this part of the rules. And I said, I'm not mad. I'm not, you know, I'm not saying that you did it on purpose. I just, like, let's fix it so that if it is, that we don't want to do it again. And he seemed pretty apologetic. And again, I don't think that he did it on purpose. Maybe he did and he didn't realize he wasn't supposed to. I don't care. Our group is actually pretty cutthroat. We do this stuff all the time. Brawlers is actually pretty lenient compared to what we normally do. We actually usually allow railroading of random movement stuff so that you can't, you know, pivot into things that are at your side. Brawlers says you have virtual pivots, stuff like that. So this didn't hurt my feelings at all, and I think that he thought because I asked him that question about it being worst play, I tried to ask it really nicely. I was very cognizant of me being a dick in game 3. You know, I was like, I'm not mad. It's not going to change what I'm doing. I just feel like maybe that shouldn't be done in future turns. And so we agreed on that maybe it shouldn't be done in future turns. But anyway, that's what happened there. And as you can see, everything kind of moves up and starts killing my chaff. This is the rest of his movement. You can see he's like sticking his Terrorgeist everywhere. Maybe he did kill that chariot and I just hadn't taken it off yet or something. But here you can see the Terrorgeists are all lumped together. He's going to move his general so everything stays within range. He's playing a really, really tight movement phase. Like, his movement phases are taking quite a bit. And I really, not that I enjoy them, but I think that he does an excellent job with them. And I kind of wish that he didn't so that I could get some points off of him. But he's playing very, very good. Also, just a shout out to Chin. He has magnetized the wings on his Terrorgeist. If you notice, the one that's on like the watery base has no wings, and the other one has like a wing missing. He has like actually magnetized the rib cage that the wings are attached to, which I think is the best idea ever. And I am absolutely in love with that idea, and I could not praise him enough for that. Not to mention that his models are beautifully painted and make me literally greener with envy. But man, the wings were just the icing on the beautifully painted cake. So here's what happened during my turn 2. You can see what nasty things happened. He popped Fanatics out with the Hex Wraiths, which of course didn't matter because they're ethereal, and I mean, I knew that this was going to happen. I mean, I have the Mangler over there too, which again is just, he's going to hop on it with the Hex Wraiths and LOL at me. His Terrorgeist took out one of my, I don't know, I think it was a Rock Lobber he took out over there, and this is where I tried to charge, and he had me blocked up with the Dire Wolves that I had that discussion about. I'm trying to pull the Pump Wagons all the way around the left side of my flank so I can get to his General's unit and still have the Strength 5 no armor save 2d6 impact hits, because that's just the bee's knees. I'm just going to knock that whole unit out, get points for it, and I can beat up some characters just through combat res or weight of attacks. I don't want them to have any, you know, ablative wounds. Plus, without ablative wounds, I can shoot them. So, anyway, you can see they knocked off some Night Goblins, and that doesn't really hurt my feelings. But I'm starting to see how this game is going to go with me just not being able to catch what he's doing. And I should have left the Savages where they were, or deployed the Savages where I instead deployed the Night Goblins, so that I had some kind of combat force over here, which I did not do. This is just the other side of the board. You can see where the Dire Wolves are blocking me up. I actually charged the Troll in there because I thought that if I charge the direwolves and I'm in their front, that I would overrun into the ghouls and go ahead and start that combat going. Of course, that didn't work, so I just kind of threw a troll away. Doesn't really matter. Brawler bash. I don't care about that 35 points. He wasn't really doing anything, so whoop-de-whoop. Just delaying my savages. This is actually, I skipped his turn, I guess. Again, I'm sorry for the pictures. I just am so tired at this point. The camera's on the fritz. And so I charged in on my turn with the savages. I just obliterated his crypt ghouls. I think there's like 6 guys left, so that was awesome. The pump wagon, you can see, is rolling over there trying to threaten his bunker. You can see all the direwolves trying to redirect. You can see him killing the rest of my night goblin, or panicking my night goblins actually far away and starting to come over towards the rest of my units. He's still not going to take on Grimgore's Immortals, which makes sense just because he the Hex Wraiths are just going to get eaten up by Grimgore. The Terrorgeist is going to get eaten up by the Immortals that also have regen or flaming attacks, so its regen does even worse thing. Its regen, while bad, doesn't even do anything. And if you look at his bunker, my shooting this turn and magic, I must have just been shooting. I don't have much magic in that regard. It's really just pounding him. He has like 4 guys plus he has like 2 guys, I think, plus his character. And I'm thinking, man, if I can stuff his magic phase, if he rolls poorly, or if I can somehow stop him from getting invocation off, I can actually get points for this unit. The characters will be alone, and then I'm feeling really good. I am, however, kind of frustrated because my pump wagon is in the way of my charge with the Black Orcs. But he's not going to stay there anyway. I have Itchy Nuisance, that unit, and again, their movement is down by 2. Woo! I was really hoping for the 6 so that they couldn't move out of charge arc of the Immortals, but, that didn't happen. I'm not sure what this picture is trying to show. I think it's just showing Chen, my opponent, being super meticulous with his movement. Again, he's playing a great movement phase. He's being really smart and also aggressive, and I really enjoyed watching him move. My only concern was that his Terrorgeists are near my belly, and I don't want to knock them off the table, which would just be terrifying. You can see he's just gearing up to figure out how he can do the most damage with his Hex Wraiths and his Terrorgeists. I was lucky this turn, though, that they were out of the General's range, so they couldn't march. That was nice. And this is what it looked like after he moved into his turn. You can see my Savages got done with the Crypt Ghouls. I reformed them since they didn't charge this turn. It didn't matter. They're going to try and get back in the fight. The Pump Wagon took some wounds from the Hex Wraiths. I think it actually took wounds from the Terrorgeist. He rolled really poorly, even though it's within Grimgore's leadership. And the Hex Wraiths did some wounds to Grimgore's unit. I think there's like 1 wound to Grimgore's unit, which was unfortunate. And then he direwolfed in front of my Immortals, which is sad. He put the other Hex Wraiths beside Grimgore's unit outside of their arc of sight. This is just getting bad. I've got to get into combat soon while I still have people left to absorb all the Blender Lord attacks. I think I did it again and skipped my turn. You can see what my Savages are doing. You can see that, and this is after his turn 3. You can see more War Machines are dead, more Pump Wagons are dead. His bus has regrown a lot of stuff. I just cannot get rid of his magic phase. He is actually facing me, and I kind of tried to put a troll in there to block him a little bit. That didn't really work very well. I actually failed my march test, I think. You can see those Night Goblins haven't rallied. That Pump Wagon ended up fighting some dire wolves, even though it wanted to save its exploding spores. The Immortals are just getting exploded by Terrorgeists and Hex Wraiths. And this game is just not turning out the way I wanted it. I had the one turn where he had like 2 people, and I thought victory was within grasp. And that's that turn that I really needed foot. I had the magic dice to make it work. I could have really capitalized, even though he had the 4 board. It wouldn't have mattered, even though he had the MR or whatever. It wouldn't have mattered. I could have done the hits and tried to kill that unit off. That would have been such a good play, and I just didn't do it. And so far, here we go, hasn't mattered. So getting desperate, I think I actually IF hand off and I move these guys over here, which is good in a way because I'm out of the way, but is bad because he's gonna wheel around and start smacking me around. So this is where I find out how immortal the Immortals really are, if they can stand up to that unit, if Grimgor can do something to the Blender Lord, you know, and if not, maybe the Savages can get a charge into their flank or something. We'll see what happens. So his turn 4, of course, they just beat the hell out of me and run me down. I don't even. It's brutal. I do like 2 wounds or something to him. I have like 4 guys left to attack. Actually, no. Let me rephrase that. I think I have like 8 people left to attack. Grimgor kills a character, and I kill another character with like 4 attacks. He just fails his armor saves. It's really ridiculous. So 2 characters are dead. I killed both of the baby vamps, the level 1 vamp and the level 2 death, which is excellent. And then he overran, and then this is my turn 5 where the pump wagon gets in. Oh, I should mention Hexwraith's charge. That's actually what Grimgor did. Grimgor didn't kill somebody. Hexwraith charged in. Grimgor killed 4 out of the 5 Hexwraiths just to generate combat res, which until the Blender Lord swung, because we resolved Grimgar's attacks first, we were like, oh god, this may actually turn out terrible. But then the Blender Lord killed like 9 people, so what are you going to do? So then I had 4 attacks at each of those characters that I killed, and I killed both of them. It was pretty stupid. I mean, I know that he had like armor saves and kind of low ward saves, but still, it was pretty ridiculous. And I was glad to get points that way. I don't think that Chin was too fussed about it. I mean, he got all my points, and it didn't matter that he had lost some characters. It's not like he needs Purple Sun right now. So then in my turn, I charge the pump wagon in, as you can see it, just to try and do some more wounds. Again, I'm just trying to kill the non-vampire characters. There's the White King, the Vamp Lord, the Champion, and 3 dudes. And so if I can kill 4 dudes with the impact hits, I will be getting points for that unit, and then things will be looking good. Remember, I'm still trying to get top 4. This is just kind of how desperate my game is. I charge the Terrorgeist with the Chariot because I'm just not going to do anything to it otherwise. I have so few, my leadership is so low, when it screams I just pick up a model, it doesn't matter what he rolls. I actually threw a pump wagon into the back, and I think that this is after his turn 5 where he screamed off the pump wagon. I did like no impact hits to him. I think I did like 1 wound to him on impact hits from both the pump wagon and the Chariot. So he screamed off that pump wagon, and now it's just the Chariot kind of hanging on, chilling out, you know, not doing anything. But in fairness, the Terrorgeist isn't doing much to me either, so that's nice. So this is the last picture of the game. He beat up that pump wagon on his turn. On my turn 5, he turned around and charged me. And in the flank, I challenged with my Wizard Lord against his Blender Lord because he wasn't getting rerolls to hit. I guess he was, but I was weapon skill 10. I had a 5 up ward. I had 3 wounds, and he did I had 2 wounds because I miscast earlier in the game. And the Blender Lord actually only did 2 wounds to me, so I was kind of sad that I had miscast earlier in the game and put that wound on myself because I actually could have, you know, been alive. But again, it's Brawler Bash. It doesn't matter to me whether he's dead or alive. So whether he's riding on a steel horse or not, he's gone. I held. I'm like leadership 8 with the reroll. I actually just used Lucky Day. It was the last. We had to call it after this turn. It was the last turn. I should have rolled just for Chin's sake to try and net him all of those points. But the objectives here were like have more standards or have more fortitude to claim table quarters, and I have no fortitude left except for the Savages, and he has more fortitude in the Knight unit, so he claims more table quarters than me. He's killed a bunch of characters. He killed one in a challenge. I mean, all of this stuff is adding up. He got my general. So he got a bunch of points off of me. I got like 1,700 points off of him, which I still thought was pretty good considering that I didn't do a lot. Most of that was like characters and the dire wolves and everything else. But yeah, it was a pretty brutal loss to Chin, and he's a great guy, and I think I just played badly, and he played phenomenally well, and I really applaud him for that. Alright, so that was loss number 1 for me for Brawler Bash, and luckily it was game 5, so I didn't have time to you know, hang my head in shame for too long because we had the results. Overall at Brawler Bash I had like something like 16,000 battle points, which I thought was really nice. I thought that was way, I mean, I had less, I think I had 4 digits the last time that I went to Brawler Bash. I think I finished with like 9,000 or something, so this was a huge jump up. I had 4 wins, 1 loss, and I averaged something like 3,200 victory points a game, which I thought was very bueno. So things I learned from this game in particular: got to play the movement better. Chin really showed me up in the movement phase. He was really in control. Part of that was I have some random movement stuff, so obviously I'm not 100% in control. I have stupidity and animosity and all that jazz. But yeah, he just played phenomenally well. I always kind of think that Vampire Army, as I saw his army and was like, man, he doesn't have anything, but he didn't need anything. You know, he had his 1 hammer unit, and then everything else was chaff or dedicated to killing things that could kill his hammer unit. And he played it really, really well, and I applaud him for that. Second thing I learned: always take foot. I absolutely 100% should have taken Foot of Gork. I could have used it on Terrorgeist. Hell, I could have used it on Dire Wolves. I could have used it on anything. It would have made it a better game than Here We Go, which I absolutely never used. So always take foot. You'd think I would know that, having played Skill Razor Dark Elves for a year, but apparently I still don't know that if you have a pick the number 6 death spell. I don't know, maybe I need to play like Lore of Death or something to really hammer it into my head that you always take the death spell. Third thing, Terrorgeist. Damn, they are scary. I mean, I've fought Terrorgeist before, but I've never fought them being, and no offense Chris from Bromance, I mean, these were played really well. I've never fought them being like that meticulous, like that focused on things, and man, it was pretty brutal. I probably should have shot them the first couple turns with the rock lobbers, not the character bus. And I may have even tried that in the rock scattered off or whatever, but again, that's where I needed foot. More magical attacks or magical missiles. I just couldn't deal with the hex wraiths, and I needed something. I didn't get Vindictive Glare. I don't have the Ruby Ring in, which was one of the things I dropped last minute, sort of. I need it. I need that to deal with hex wraiths, or I need people on wolves with magic weapons or something. I need something to deal with ethereal, and I just don't have it. I do, however, need more practice versus vampires. My games with Chris are really fun. Chris plays vampires and Bromance. Really enjoy the games that we have. But he is much more aggressive and infantry focused, and that's not this list. And so I need to play some more games against lists like this to figure out, I guess, the cadence, the rhythm, the flow, figure out what's going on. And finally, Chin is a great dude, and I know that he kept apologizing after the game, like, oh man, I'm sorry, I don't think you had a good time. And I really did, and I think I may have just had like angry face on because I was concentrating. It was a tough game. He was a tough opponent. But I mean, if Chin, if you're watching, I absolutely had a blast. He was like, oh, you know, you can put me as your worst sportsman opponent, you know, like I know that I'm just being really, really dickish. And I was like, no man, this is Warhammer, and like, you can do that. I felt much more dickish in game 3 than anything that Chin did. And I mean, I think maybe he felt guilty about the double block thing, and again, I told him I was being really serious. It didn't bother me. Like, I just didn't want it to be a thing where that was what happened to the Savages all game, because I knew that was wrong. But you know, if it happens accidentally, or if you don't think about it and you do it because that's what normally you do, that's fine. I'm trying to be nicer about this stuff, so it really didn't bother me. And he was very worried that I was frustrated with him, and he was an excellent opponent. I love that game. Play him again anytime. Yeah, so that was game 5 of Brawler Bash. I'm actually going to try and do a summary video sometime within the next couple days and talk about the results and talk about the rest of Bromance, which my scoffing should probably tell you is not going to be a good thing. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed it. If you did, subscribe, click like, leave me some comments, and I'll see you for the summary.